Hello, my name is Paige Lampe, and I'm here to talk about the psychologist Carol Dweck and mindset theory. So first, we're going to talk about a little bit of her background. So her father worked in export-import, and her mother worked in advertising. She is the only daughter and middle child of 3 children. Her husband's a national theater director, and she has a number of children, but there hasn't been a specified number, but she does have 2 grandchildren. Dweck has stated that her relationship with her brothers is that her and her oldest brother both excelled in school. She was even part of the top IQ class in the school, and mentions that her younger brother was the rebellious one of the 3. Dweck also noted that she thought she was rebellious too, but it was only in her thoughts. Unlike her younger brother, who was rebellious in his actions. While she would think against something, her brother would actually say it. So her educational background is that she is currently a professor of psychology at Stanford and held previous professorships at Columbia and Harvard universities. She received her undergraduate degree with a BA in psychology from Barnard College and later attended Yale University for her PhD in psychology. Dweck has spent the majority of her career understanding mindset and human motivation. She noted that when she was a 6th grader at PS 153, in Brooklyn, New York, her teacher had seated students based on their IQ scores and even withheld assigning students tasks for the classroom, such as cleaning the background or carrying the flag during assembly, if their IQ was not high enough. Dweck said she let it be known that her IQ for her was the ultimate measure of intelligence in your character. So the students who had the best seats were always scared of taking another test and not being at the top anymore. It's not a mystery that the specific grade level and teacher left a lasting impression on Dweck and shaped her research. So now we're going to go into Dweck's actual theory, which is the mindset theory. It focuses on the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset. Dweck, in his TED Talk, described the fixed mindset as a mindset that focuses on the now and can be a cause for chronic poor grades, as well as thinking smaller rather than dreaming bigger. The growth mindset is the idea of not yet, and the acceptance that intelligence is not a fixed number. It is something that grows with time. One way to look at this theory is to think of the phrase, practice makes perfect, meaning that with time, practice, and effort, you will be able to master a particular thing like math, playing basketball, or learning another language. It can apply to various aspects of everyone's life, even after being in the classroom. So people with a fixed mindset see challenges and look for a way to avoid it, and one way that might be seen is through cheating. They struggle to climb over obstacles and don't see the value in putting effort into their work. With a fixed mindset, it's hard for people to accept and take criticism and useful feedback. They think smaller and are easily threatened by the success of their peers. On the opposite end, with the growth mindset, people embrace challenges and work hard to overcome obstacles they face. They value effort and putting it into their work and are more open to learning from criticism and comments. They fully embrace the idea that they can continue to grow and are more easily inspired by others around them. So the historical precedents of the theory, it was difficult to find a whole lot of information, but it can definitely be said that Dweck's personal experience in 6th grade with her teacher that valued her students based off of their IQ score rather than how they worked in the classroom had a great influence on this. So now I'll move on to applying the mindset theory into 21st century classrooms. A way teachers can implement mindset theory into the classroom is to set micro goals in the classroom. I personally see this as something to center bell work around, since it provides a small hurdle, but it won't discourage students and will also get them ready to learn for the class period. It's also crucial with mindset theory for teachers to praise their students for the work and effort students put into the assignments, and not just praising them for things like their intelligence or for acing a test. It's important to take note of where a student might be struggling and to praise them when you see students that are having a breakthrough in that lesson and look like they are beginning to have a better grasp on the concept. Mindset also asks teachers to help students appreciate and focus on the learning process. It's about the enjoyment of learning more than the letter grade they might get on a test. And the next implementation is to create assignments that encourage cooperation, which would be group projects. Sometimes this can't always be done, but encouraging students to help one another could be another way to do this that breaks the traditional cooperation. So while the mindset theory sounds like a great impression to leave students with that theory with, and it will help them in their future after they are done graduated, there are criticisms on Dweck's research. Several psychologists have noted that being unable to replicate Dweck's works and findings on her mindset theory. Timothy Bates, a psychology professor at Edinburgh University, has been cited as trying without success to implement mindset into the classroom. Dweck has also commented on this, stating that schools have not applied mindset theory accurately in the classrooms. Nick Brown also responded to this comment, stating that this theory is fragile if it cannot be replicated in a real-life setting. I have my own criticisms on this theory as well, and I fear that mindset theory does not properly set up students for understanding and learning how to cope with failure, which students will inevitably face in many areas throughout their lives. It is important for students to learn that they can overcome from failure, but it is not realistic to shield students from it. I like the idea of growth mindset, and in some capacity it should be in use in the classroom, so students know that they can and are always growing. But while some of the things taught in schools do not inherently prepare students for the real world, aspects such as the concept of failure and overcoming it and succeeding through hard work do help students. So thinking about applying mindset in my own classroom, while I do have my criticisms and I worry about the impact of potentially shielding students from the concept of failure, I do think parts of it should definitely be implemented in the classroom. I believe that growth mindset can benefit everyone, and something that we should remind ourselves when we struggle. The things we know and can understand will improve with time. Areas we struggle in can become easier with time and effort. But from my research, I believe mindset theory can have a tremendous impact in the classroom, especially mine. While it can be difficult to create a cooperative environment in a high school English classroom, students will always dread group projects, especially at that age. I want learning to be cooperative even before the assignment is handed out, with everyone contributing their knowledge to the table. Students in my classroom will be praised for working hard, and not just because they aced a test. I believe it is important for students to realize that their teacher recognizes when they are improving. But it's important to keep students from relying on praise in order to succeed, and that will be a balance, as well as something that will vary based on what each individual student needs. Lastly, I also think that a piece of John Dewey's philosophy, that the idea that teachers should learn alongside their students, could also be applied to this growth mindset theory. Since as teachers we are our students' role models, and if we can show that our intelligence is malleable too, despite having more schooling than them, they can learn that their intelligence is malleable as well. And so here are my works cited pages. And that is what I have for you on Carol Dweck and her theory on mindset.